This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, that your life is too short and that you really need to, it'd be great fun to have life treat you in a different way. And we've got a gentleman who's going to help us do that today. His name is Scott White, and we'll be with him in just a moment. But first, Eric, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, Kevin, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here. So enjoying looking out at the sunshine from our studio window.
I know you're in the 5th floor of a beautiful building in Factoria, and you can see traffic and everything. How's traffic?
Traffic is, it's okay. For, considering the time of day, it's not that bad.
Exactly. And I would like for you to run through, sir, and I'm waiting for you to make a mistake, but you're a professional, so you never do.
I should write out a script at this point.
You don't have to. You got it memorized. Can you tell everybody what we are doing on KKNW, which is really quite cool?
Absolutely. Well, in addition to broadcasting live on KKNW on AM 1150 and our website, 1150kknw.com, and our app where you can stream us, you can also watch the show live on YouTube, either Positive Talk Radio's channel or KKNW's channel, or on Facebook, Positive Talk Radio's Facebook or KKNW's Facebook, or on KKNW's Twitter as well. So lots of places to catch the show live. Really no excuse to miss it, especially when you got great guests and great co-hosts like today.
Especially since you've been telling me, or I've heard through the grapevine, that more and more people are catching on to this format, and you've actually got some numbers that are pretty impressive of what's happening.
Yeah, we're seeing thousands of people check out the videos every month.
So that's really cool. Thousands? Really? Thousands?
Yeah, that's overall. But yes. Not just specifically you, sir, but you are included in that, of course.
You can just tell everybody that it's because of us.
It's because of Kevin.
That's no, it's actually because of Holly, who I'm going to bring on next. And Holly is works with me. She's also the proprietor of one of our sponsors, and she is a really, really, really cool gal. And yesterday was a great big day in her world because it was Valentine's Day. Holly, how are you?
Hello. Thanks so much for having me back on the show.
Anytime that I can get you here is a good day. And so I'm very happy that you are here today. How did Valentine's Day go for the floral industry?
It was busy. It was busy. I think most people think that's the busiest day of the year for florists, but I think Mother's Day always beats Valentine's Day.
Yeah, because in Valentine's Day, there's other stuff that you can do. What do you get your mom? You know, it's like flowers. They all appreciate flowers. We'll just get them flowers. But, a lot of, if you don't want to take your mom out to brunch or something, then, just get her flowers. So that's how that works. But it's great to have you here. Thank you. And by the way, if you stay tuned, Unnatural Design is going to give away something during the course of this show. Not going to say when, but at one point or another, we're going to.
I will tell them how they can get it, though. That way they're prepped and ready.
Okay, go ahead.
So the only thing you have to do is go to positivetalkradio.net and look at the episode number of the most recent episode and call us with that number. And it's right there on the very homepage. The minute you get to the website, you'll be able to see the most recent episode. You just got to call in and give us the number of that episode, and you will be able to let us know where you want the prize sent.
And that is positivetalkradio.net. I'll give you a hint. It's over 400.
Good hint. Very good hit.
So we've got lots and lots of episodes that we are doing, and we really encourage you to go there. There's tons of stuff for you to do there, and and finding the latest episode would be a good thing to do because you could have an opportunity to win something a little later.
Ta-da!
So we needed a little emoji that goes ta-da.
Wait, don't you have the buttons with the really cool sound effects?
Oh, I do. Hold on.
Pick a.
So we're gonna laugh our way all the way through this episode because we have a very interesting guy, and he's written a book, and I love the title of his book. I would have titled it differently if it was about me because it's I'm the short little guy. But in this particular case, Scott White is the author, and he is our guest, and he's the author of the book, "The Life is Too Short Guy: Strategies to Make Every Day the Best Day Ever." And I'm glad that you're here, sir, because you're going to make today our best day ever.
I'm going to give it my best shot. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm happy to be here.
No pressure, of course. But how long has the book been out now?
This book's only been out about 6 weeks, and I'm proud to report that earlier today we became an Amazon bestseller. So your audience is the first people to hear this. Earlier today, we did become an Amazon bestseller. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
Special sound effect.
Find the button.
There we go.
I'm button challenged, I'm afraid, on my little mixer. But so that's congratulations. That's a real
Seriously, that's a big deal, Scott.
Yeah, very excited. That just happened a few hours ago. So we've been out just about 5 weeks, I'd say now. And today we hit the first week we were a new release bestseller, but now we made it in the big leagues and actually became an Amazon bestseller. So that's exciting.
Well, you know, a good friend of mine always tells me branding is the key. Branding and niching down and finding the right. That would be Holly. And so
I don't know who that is.
It is a great title for, and it begs the reader to want to pick it up and look at it and see what it's about.
That's my goal, and the image on the cover is an hourglass, which sort of ties to the life is too short. Make the most of the minutes you have. Enjoy every day and try to make every day the best day ever. That's the underlying theme.
How do you pronounce the acronym?
Litzig. Yes, I'm glad you asked, because a lot of people try to butcher it on their own, and it's Litzig. I take LITSG, life is too short guy, and created the concept, which I call the principles or the philosophy of Litzig.
Very good. I can't even pronounce that. Never mind.
Well, that's why Holly asked instead of guessing.
It makes perfect sense. So where did you come from? Where did the book come from? And why did you write the book?
So let's see, a lot of questions in there. The book itself is, so I've wanted to write a book for many years. I wasn't sure about what or when or how. And during COVID, I started working with a new executive coach. I'm a big believer in constant improvement and constant learning. And I talk about that in the book. And in the second session that I met with the coach, he said to me, after having done an evaluation, do a couple of personality tests, the first session, he's like, dude, you are Mr. Life is Too Short guy. Everything is rah, happy, grateful, get it done today. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's right. But I never really thought of it in that construct. So that was about 2.5 years ago. And I mentioned that to my wife. And, I've been very fortunate. I've been with my wife since high school. I've been with my wife almost my entire life. And I mentioned this to her, and she's like, yeah, I could see that. The Life is Too Short guy. Maybe that's the book you always wanted to write. And I say to her, interesting, but I'm not sure what the Life is Too Short guy book would be about. Anyway, I thought about it for the next few weeks, and she sort of prodded me, have you thought about it? Any ideas? And I jotted down a few notes and concepts, and this was early 2021. And then, I lost interest. I got distracted. I think it actually became March, and I'm a big basketball fan, and March leads to March Madness. And all of a sudden, it was more important that I follow college basketball than finish the book or start the book. I shouldn't even say finish, because all I had was an outline. So it died on the vine in March of 21. And then early in 2022, I saw a speaker by the name of Eric Custer. And Eric is a professor at Georgetown, and Eric teaches in the MBA program, and Eric teaches an entrepreneurship class, and had created a class for his MBA students about writing a book and positioning a book and selling a book. And then he decided to create a separate course for non-Georgetown students. And I enrolled early last year. And through the program, he had a number of editors he assigned. And you get to a point midway through the year where you submit a manuscript, and if their publishing company is interested, they'll give you the green light or maybe a yellow light and say it needs more work. I got the green light, and then worked in the second half of last year, editing and revising and editing and revising and editing and revising. And a lot goes into, the initial write is probably less than half the work. More goes into improving than writing. And that got us to January of this year. And a couple of days into January, I released the book. And that's the story behind where the book came from.
It is really cool that you were now, first of all, you're a professional guy and you're in real estate and you're doing a bunch of stuff like that, and then it just kind of magically hit you that you needed to write a book, and then it's amazing how it just kind of worked out the way it was supposed to, didn't it?
It's amazing. And I talk about that or things like that in the book. So I've known I wanted to write a book for a while. It wasn't like one day I woke up and I'm like, new concept. Let's start thinking about a book. I've wanted to do it for a while, but I never really took the initiative or figured out how I would do it. And to your point, Kevin, which is a good one, things started to line up. First coach mentions the name, then my wife says, oh, maybe that's your book. And then I meet the gentleman who has a program for writing a book, and I just committed to it. I went all in as best I could. To your point, which is an important one. I'm not a professional author. I guess now I am, but this isn't my full-time role. In my day job, I am the chairman and CEO of a public real estate company. I run a public real estate company, and separately, I'm a founding partner with a few gentlemen of a student housing development company. So what really pays the bills is actually the real estate industry. And I've just been so passionate about these types of topics and subjects for many years. I had a lot of friends say to me, wow, you're super high energy, super positive. It'd be kind of cool if you could bottle that up and share it with people. And I sort of had that epiphany, that aha moment of, you know what, the bottle is the book. I mean, that's how you bottle it up. And I put the concepts, the ideas, the stories in the book. And now what I'm trying to do is exactly what we're doing today, joining you and Holly on the show, telling the story of the book, talking about the principles, getting people motivated, excited. I'd love for your listeners to obviously read the book, but even if they choose not to read the book, that's fine. If at the end of this session, they take away 1 or 2 or 3 points and do something differently tonight or tomorrow to live a happier, more fulfilling life, I've accomplished my mission. I'm really excited about that.
How do you convince people that they should not be waiting till tomorrow to do what they should do today? Because, like I've said, I'm lately I've been into doing shorts, a little 30-second videos. And in one of them it says, don't wait until tomorrow because tomorrow may never come.
Yep.
Is that in your book anywhere?
Couldn't agree more. That's principle number 10. So there's 10 principles, and that's the closing principle. That's the hook. As I bring it all home, I say, live today, don't wait for tomorrow. And one of the things, the way I wrote the book very deliberately by design, was to be simple, practical, useful, easy to read. This is not an academic book. This is not a theory book. I don't want somebody to pick it up and read about, some philosopher from the 1600s or some PhD that has this brilliant idea. That's great, and there are books for that. That's not what I want. I want the world to pick this up. And a lot of people have said, boy, I don't love reading, but I was able to read this in like 2 or 3 settings because it's easy to read, it's practical, and it tells a lot of stories. So in it, Kevin, I tell stories of people that have had major aha moments. Someone that had a catastrophic injury and is paralyzed from the neck down. Someone that attempted suicide and today is a therapist to help youth to avoid those situations. Someone who I actually went to high school with. He had a daughter that at 3 years old was diagnosed with cancer. And I followed him and tell about his journey and his story, he and his wife, of, his daughter, Cam, survived. She's a cancer survivor, or was a cancer survivor, because she lived 5 years and 1 day. And at the age of 8, she passed away, unfortunately. And it was very hard for me to hear that story and listen to Greg tell that story. But I share that in the book. And it's stories like that I want the reader to take away and be like, you know what? I don't need that kick in the head. I don't need that aha moment. Listening to this right now is my aha moment. And tonight I'm going to make some small changes, some simple. I don't expect someone listening to this to be like, all right, well, I'm a whole new person because I listened to the show for an hour and my world has changed. That's not reality. But if you pick up 1 or 2 or 3 points and you go away and you're like, that crazy guy rambling on about, life is too short and doing something. You don't know if tomorrow's going to blah, blah, blah. Maybe I go out for a special dinner tonight. Maybe I open a special bottle of wine. Maybe I put on some special item of clothing tomorrow that's important to me. Like these little things change your perspective, make you happier. And as you said, tomorrow's not guaranteed. It's not promised. There's an exercise that I do. So I've been doing a lot of workshops lately. I'm out doing doing a national tour, and I've been doing corporate speaking events and workshops. There's an exercise I love to do to sort of close out the workshop, and it ties exactly to this point. And I say to Kevin, and I say to you, Kevin, and Holly, and I'll say this to all your readers, I tell people to close their eyes and join me on a journey. And I actually say, I look around the audience, so I'll make sure your eyes are closed, and I say, here's where we're going. You ready? It's a beautiful May day, and the sun is shining. It is just a perfect, it's not too hot, it's not too cool. There's a little breeze on your face, and you could hear the birds chirping, and the lawn's been cut recently. So the grass is cut. You could smell that fresh cut grass, and you're walking through this field. You could feel the grass on your ankles, and all of a sudden you walk up to something. You open your eyes and you look down, and there's a piece of granite. And on that granite is your first and last name. You're now looking at your tombstone. I want you to fill in the next line. What are those 3 or 4 words that you believe belong on your tombstone to encapsulate your life sort of in 3 or 4 words, the way you view it?
Can we have Kevin play that game? I want to know what Kevin would come up with.
Oh, crap, already?
Look at that. No time to think. On the spot.
It's no, that's what I would say. Oh, crap, already?
That was good.
That's awesome.
That was good. I like that.
Because I would want to, that's the thing. Well, I've had relatives, and my mother, that happened to her. She played bridge on Wednesday, went out to dinner on Thursday, and died on Friday. And so you just don't know.
You don't know.
And so you might, and it's more important to make people laugh, to enjoy yourself, to have a great time than it is virtually anything. And you can change people's lives. The work that you're doing, now you did this for fun and stuff, but it's going to change people's lives and how they view their lifespan and what's going on with it and stuff. It's really is important. Holly, what would you say if you were to walk up to your grave?
But it had to be like just really short, a few words, and
depends on how big a tombstone you plan to have there. I mean, it's possible you have an entire wall.
She's going to have a mausoleum.
A few words.
I don't know if I would want words so much as I was just telling Kevin earlier, like the hologram thing. I think that would be super cool. But maybe did my best.
Did my best. Okay.
I know. So when somebody walks up to your grave, the hologram appears, and you can be 3-dimensionally for the rest of humanity and for the rest of time with your grave. That would be a wonderful thought.
A whole different concept. A whole different concept. And you know what? Then I actually, just to finish where I was going with this, because we're still in that live today, don't wait for tomorrow. Once I ask listeners, and hopefully your listeners are thinking about this right now, to encapsulate that, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 words on their tombstone, then I say, okay, now I want you to write the 5 or 6 key themes that you'd expect in your eulogy. So think about, these are your closest friends and family. These are people that took time from their life to show up at your funeral. How do you want them to remember you? And
I got an answer for that one.
Oh, you got that one. Okay.
It actually aligns well with yours, because never stop learning, or that eternal student mentality, I think is one of the most helpful things. So something along those lines, always keep learning.
So that's one of your concepts. That's great. The idea is to come up with a few concepts. And the last thing I tell people to do is, okay, now you've covered your tombstone, which is only 3 or 4 words. So you got to be really thoughtful. You've covered your eulogy, which is telling your closest friends and family how you like to be remembered. Now I want you to write your own obituary. Because these are the people that never met you. These are the people that are seeing it online, that are seeing it in the newspaper. How do you want them to remember you? And then what I ask the listeners, the viewers, the readers to do is look at the theme you put on your tombstone. Look at the themes that are important to you. Holly, for you, you said it's learning and constant education is one of them in your eulogy. Look at the overarching theme in your obituary. Now I want you to stop and think. Is that the life you're living today? If tomorrow doesn't come, would those words make sense on your tombstone, on your eulogy, and your obituary? And you'd be shocked. A lot of people, I think, struggle with it's more aspirational than reality. And that's my challenge to the listeners right now is make it a reality now. So if you say, Holly, learning is really important to you, then I challenge you, what are you doing tonight and tomorrow and this weekend to enhance your educational growth, your learning? Is that really a priority for you?
Yeah. Right now I'm working on a project management Google certification between
Awesome.
all the fun PTR positive talk radio fun.
That's
And
awesome. So you are living.
please, Scott, don't have her learn anymore. It already hurts my head.
She knows enough.
So, but because she is a lifelong learner.
That's awesome.
That's what she does.
That's
And
wonderful.
you know what I would put on my eulogy or on my obituary would be, okay, this is who I was. This is the stats. Now I'll give you $5,000 if you do a book report on every episode I've ever done on the radio.
Check with my estate.
That's right. And it would take, well, I've got 900 shows between the two. So it would take a while for somebody to be able to do that.
$5,000.
Yeah. So, but you know, everybody to his own. But I love the concept. And when you're at these conventions, what are some of the best answers that you've gotten of people?
I actually don't call on people. I think this is something personal, and I think it's more important that I actually, depending on whether I'm doing a keynote or a workshop, if I'm doing a keynote, I just sort of plant the seeds with people. If I'm doing a workshop, I actually have a workbook, and in the workbook, I have a small drawing of a tombstone. And then I have a couple of lines where you write out some of these concepts. And look, in a workshop setting, you don't have enough time to really think about it. My goal is for people to go home and think about it. And even if you don't write it down, which by the way, I think is vitally important. I think writing it down changes the perspective as opposed to thinking about it. But even if just your listeners right now start to think about these concepts, I think it changes their life. I think it changes their, that's interesting. Maybe I should be doing more of what is important to me, how I want to be remembered, what my legacy is going to be. Now, look, I'd be careful because you don't want to think about what you perceive your legacy to be and then start to become a different person to live up to that. It's starting from the proposition of who do you want to be? What's important to you? What kind of life do you want to live? What makes you happy? That's the underlying concept. The whole book, the underlying theme is it says strategies to make every day the best day ever. I want people to realize that you only have so many minutes in your life. Make the most of every minute.
Exactly. Holly, what do you think?
About?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you want me to just pull it? I'm actually really curious. So a lot of times when people are listening to shows, like kind of describing a really good example of someone listening right now that you know is going to love this kind of mindset content can actually help people like clue in and self-identify.
So that's the beauty of the way I wrote this is it really has a very broad audience. So I'm not avoiding the question. I'm going to give you a list of 26 different people that it could. No, I'm kidding. I won't go through that many, but you know, you're a high school student trying to find your way or about to graduate into the world. You're a college student that's, you know, I don't know what I want to major in. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm trying to figure out what I stand for. You're about to graduate. You're someone a few years into your career and you're like, I'm not sure this is right for me. You're someone that's in a relationship that's, I don't know, maybe stuck. Maybe you're not energized. Maybe you're not excited. Maybe, let me flip it the other way. You're having the time of your life, but you feel like there's something missing. Maybe you're somebody that's recently dealt with a setback, a major illness, a death of a spouse or a loved one. Maybe you're someone that's starting a new job or moved to a new city. Maybe you're someone that has this inkling, this itch to do something, i.e. write a book or start a podcast or fill in the blank, whatever it is. There's so many people. Like I like to say to when I get this question of who is this for, my question back to you is, Who doesn't want to live a happier life? Who doesn't want to live to their potential? Who doesn't want to make the most of every minute? And the answer is this book is very broadly applicable. And that's why I actually went out of my way to make it a fast, easy to understand, easy read. This is stories. This is basic concepts. In fact, some of the concepts are so basic that when I say them, you're almost like, there's a book that explains that. But then I challenge people. I'm going to give you an example. I'm actually going to give you a real example. So one of the concepts, there's 10 principles, and I can go through all of them, but I'm just going to pick one for right now. One of the principles is little things make a big difference. You can make small, minuscule changes to make a big difference. And then your follow-up questions, all right, Scott, give me an example. And here's where I get the, you wrote a book about this. One of my points that I tell people, and I love doing this when I have a big audience, is smile. Okay. And then people look at me like, does he mean right now? They got this sort of like, does he mean right now? Then it's forced. And I'm like, yes, I mean right now. I mean, smile now. I mean, smile when you get up in the morning. I mean, smile when you get in the car. I mean, smile when you're at the office. I mean, smile when you're making dinner. I mean, smile when you're talking to a loved one on the phone. We don't think proactively, deliberately about smiling enough. It's beautiful as I look at you, Holly, and you're smiling. It's actually making me feel better. It's making me realize that you're either buying into this or you're a great actress. It's making me realize that you are spreading some joy. You'd be amazed. Now watch tomorrow or tonight when you go home, just randomly smile at somebody and watch them react back to you. Walk by a stranger and smile. Walk into a meeting and, hey, smile. It changes look, it's been scientifically proven that the brain produces chemicals as you smile that make you happier. Those around you are happier. And that's one of those concepts where you're like, that's a whole epiphany, right? Smile. This is the brilliance. Yes, that's the brilliance. The whole idea is that it's simple. It's easy to apply. By the way, there's dozens of others. The whole book isn't about smiling, I assure you. But I give that as an example of it takes so little to make small changes, to live a happier life. And if everyone could spend an extra few seconds a day smiling, forget about minutes or hours, think about what a better world we'd be in.
Exactly. And by the way, we're talking with Scott White. He's written the book, The Life is Too Short Guy, Strategies to Make Every Day the Best Day Ever. And we're going to make somebody in our audience have a really good day today, because when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about what A Natural Design is going to give away, and you can call in and with what Holly's going to tell you, and you can win that. And also in the second half of the show, Scott, I want to talk about the two concepts that I find virtually universally, and I'd love your opinion on it. And that is that at one point in time, almost everybody, I think personally, everybody has asked themselves two questions. Why am I here? And is this all there is? And if they come up with an answer to those questions, I think that's probably in your book, which is called, again, The Life is Too Short Guy. And so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have Holly outline what we're going to do next. So, Eric, take it away, please. Hey there. I'm excited that you're listening right now. And if you like what we're doing here, you're going to love PositiveTalkRadio.net. On PositiveTalkRadio.net, each show, which is recorded live, is packed with positive information, with real people discussing real issues, and positive solutions that can work for everyone. I hope that you'll join us on PositiveTalkRadio.net and listen to all 340 plus shows. I think it's worth your time. But then, that's just me. That's PositiveTalkRadio.net, your home for great progressive, positive podcasts.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com, at your fingertips today.
Hey, my friend. I'd really like to thank you for listening to the show today. As you may know, I started Positive Talk Radio way back in 2003. We were one of the first shows on KKNW. For 11 months, I was fortunate to be part of many lives, making a positive difference with great interviews and discussions, creating new thoughts and ideas. Sadly, for financial reasons, I had to terminate the show. Well, it took 18 years, but we're back better than ever. And not only on KKNW Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but also podcasting with several inspiring channels with the same driving passion as the original. Please visit kmmedia.pro for complete information about all of these shows. In addition, if you feel called to keep positive programming on the air, you can join us by sponsoring the show and aligning yourself with our mission, which is nothing short of saving the planet and each other. Again, that's kmmedia.pro. I'll see you there. And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald. I get the distinct pleasure of being your host. And there's a couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, during that commercial break, you heard Holly voice her own commercial for A Natural Design. And Scott, to your point that you made earlier about smiling, I asked her when she was doing that commercial, I said, you know, your voice sounds really good and it sounds effervescent and upbeat. And she said, that's because I was told a long time ago that if you smile while you're speaking, it gives it a different energy and a much more positive energy than if you don't. And so that was a lesson that I learned personally that day. So it was really quite cool. And so Holly, you are also the proprietor of A Natural Design.
Yeah, one of your first and forever sponsors. Yeah, it's anaturaldesign.com, and they're going to sponsor your giveaway if we get a caller by the end of the show. And the only thing the caller has to do to win the prize, and I'll tell you what the prize is here next as well, is go to positivetalkradio.net, look at the most recent episode, and just call in with that episode number. And that also reminds me, you got to change your little commercial because you're already way past 300 and some odd.
I know. So way past 340. But
yeah. So did you want me to tell them what they'll win? And then
yes, please.
I think we should tax Eric a little bit and let him do the phone numbers because he does it so professionally and smooth.
Perfect.
So, yes. So what they will win if they call in at any time before the end of the show is their choice of an iPhone or Galaxy Samsung phone case. And there's a lot to choose from. We'll contact you and find out which style you want, what model number you need, and have it shipped anywhere. I think all of like North America and even some other countries. It can just go straight to you or someone else that you want to give it to.
And Eric, what are the phone numbers if somebody would like to win this here contest?
You can call in at 425-373-5527 or toll free 888-298-5569. That's 888-298-KKNW.
And thank God you weren't like in the restroom or something. That would have been bad, but you were right, Johnny, on the spot. Good job, sir.
I'm here listening and enjoying the show.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, he also uses a smile when he speaks as well. So, Scott, again, it's awesome to have you here. You're the author of the book, The Life is Too Short Guy. Well, you are the Life is Too Short Guy, and it's strategies to make every day the best day ever. A brand new Amazon bestseller. That's got to feel good.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. It, my real mission is to get the message out, and it just shows me that people are buying the book and reading it, and I've gotten a lot of wonderful feedback, which has been the most fun part of this journey.
And I was going to ask you, and so I will now, do you find or have you found over your lifetime that one of the major questions that people at one point inevitably ask themselves is, why am I here? And what am I really here to do?
Yeah, I think that, yes, I do think people ask that question. I think the answer changes over time. I don't believe that we all have one purpose in life. I don't think that we figure out what it's all about at any particular moment in life. I think it evolves. And as I think about my purpose and why I'm here, it has certainly evolved. If we had spoken 5 or 10 years ago, it wouldn't be as focused on this message, on this book, on this mission that I'm on. I've written my own personal mission. It's to make the world happier one smile at a time. And now I'm so maniacal and passionate about getting out and telling this story that I'm 100% convinced this is my purpose. This is my mission. This is what I've been put on this earth to do. And this is what I'm going to spend at least the foreseeable future working on. In fact, I never answered the question, what's on my tombstone? And I think it's going to be the life is too short guy. That's where I'm at right now in my life. I'm so fired up and excited about it. And, I kind of hinted at this a few seconds ago, but I want to circle back on it. The feedback and reactions that I've been getting are so incredibly empowering and motivating and inspiring to me. People that just say small things. I picked a friend of mine up last night, and she said to me, I've always been a really positive person, but after I read your book, I find myself now talking to more strangers. I find myself waving to people more often, and that's a result of reading your book. And then I heard from somebody else that he always wanted to write a screenplay, and having read the book, it motivated him to sit down and start doing something. And then I heard from somebody who said he hadn't seen his mother in a while, and he decided literally as he was reading the book, he went online, he bought a plane ticket, and he's going to go see his mother. And I could probably spend the next, whatever, we have 20 minutes left. I can keep going through these stories. And by the way, the book's only been out for 5 weeks. This is getting me excited to say, there's a ripple effect that I'm going to have so many positive impacts on people, not just me, but I'm hopeful that Holly's going to go home or tomorrow morning say, hey, we had this guy on the show last night and he talked about this or that. And that person's going to mention it to their friend. And that person's going to mention it to their spouse. And that's how we make the world better, which is awesome.
I'm going to say #Litzig.
There you go. That's it. Spread the love, spread the word, and get people smiling and thinking and just doing small things. So one of the things I talk about in the book is another tool, very small tool that I've gotten so many people to respond to. It sounds so ridiculous. And since I've told people about it, I can't tell you how many people have said to me they've changed this perspective. If I said to you, and I'll just pick on you, Holly, for fun, do you remember what your very first thought was when you opened your eyes this morning?
No, I don't. Probably I don't want
to. So you actually, it's almost like we scripted this. You couldn't have made this easier for me. So most people tell me I don't remember. I'd say that's 50-ish%. I'd say another 30 to 40% went exactly where you went. I'm tired. I'm cold. It's dark. I don't feel like getting up. I got so much to do today. Blah, 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 blah. I tell people, why start the day like that? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. Henry Ford said that, right? So why not start your day with clear lenses? I hate to say rose-colored glasses, but why not wake up and open your eyes and be like, wow, it's Wednesday. It's a beautiful day. I have a roof over my head. I have someone next to me I love. I have my daughter in the other room. I have wonderful people I'm meeting today. I get to end my day on a beautiful show, spreading the love to the world. By the way, that's the first 5 seconds of my day, and I've already noted 8 things I'm happy and grateful for. I understand that the day will take on a life of its own, and regardless of how I start or what I say, I can't control the whole day. But I can control how I start the day and how I set the tone for the day, and I believe that fundamentally changes your perspective and leads to a happier, more fulfilling day. I tell that story all the time. I would say I've probably had 20 plus people over the last few weeks call, email, or text, some sort of tongue in cheek saying, my first thought when I woke up this morning was X or Y. But people are proactively thinking about, why not wake up happy? Why not wake up with today's the best day of my life? Bam.
Exactly. And I woke up this morning saying, where's the bathroom? No, that's not right. Sorry, Holly had to go on mute there for a second.
Just glad she wasn't drinking when you said that.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. But that is so true. And what we talk about too, Scott, is that you can smile at any. Smiles are free, and you can be nice to the cashier. Yep. I did a short yesterday about Valentine's Day. And I was thinking, because I'd been watching a bunch of different shorts and things about Valentine's Day, and they were saying, show your lover that you care for them and go do this and that. And my take was, be nice to the server that is there on Valentine's Day rather than home with her or his friends and family taking care of you, and be nice to them. smile at them
Couldn't
because
agree more.
it's Valentine's Day and they're in a friggin' restaurant, and stuff. So those things are important.
Amen. I tell people, look, that's another concept in the book. I tell people do that all the time. In fact, so I have a newsletter, the Litzig newsletter. And if any of your listeners are interested, they can go to my website and sign up at lifeistooshortguy.com. And I sent a newsletter out earlier this week on Monday, and they're generally short. I want to evoke sort of a thought or response in people. And the story I told on Monday was as follows, and it gets right to your point, Kevin, in terms of engaging with everybody, engage with the world. So I'm a big runner. I run most mornings. I get up early, I go out and I run. And I went out and I ran this Monday morning, and it's probably, I'd say, 6:30 in the morning. I'm a few miles from my house when I'm running, and I hear somebody yelling at me, and I can't quite, I didn't hear what they said. I was sort of in the zone, whatever. And I look up, and it's the garbage truck driver. Okay, so he's yelling, he's waving. I don't know what he said. It doesn't really matter. I'll get to that in a minute. But he's waving at me, he's smiling. This isn't a get out of my way kind of thing. This is a happy, friendly smile. And then about 15, 20 minutes later, I'm running by a crossing guard, and I'm running, so I don't have time to stop and talk. But the crossing guard's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a little bit." I'm like, "Yeah, I was away last week. Good to see you. Cold morning. Have a good day." The point of me telling that story is by 6:30 in the morning, I'd already had an interaction with two strangers. Why? And I say strangers this way, because when I go out and I run in the morning, I wave to that garbage truck driver all the time. So he was returning the favor. That crossing guard, I literally say hello to almost every day, to the point that he noticed I was on vacation last week and I didn't run by. We could do this every day. You talked about the server in the restaurant, or the cashier, or that customer service person. I tell a wonderful story in the book about, I forget which airline, maybe it was United Airlines, customer service rep that I called. And instead of starting the call with, usually they're like, "Hi, I'm Holly, how can I help you?" 98% of all people start with, "I need," right? I'm calling because I need my flight change, or I missed this, or my luggage, blah, blah, blah. I'm with, "Nice to meet you, Holly. How are you?" "I'm wonderful. How are you?" "Great. Where are you today?" "Oh, I'm based in Chicago." "That's right. I was in Chicago earlier this week. In fact, I love Chicago. How long have you been there?" Anyway, I tell this story in the book that I probably spent 15 minutes talking to this customer service representative from United Airlines, where I got to know about her kids. I got to know about her spouse. I got to know about her deceased parents. I got to know where they went to school. I got to know that she has some concerns about how her youngest daughter spends money. This is a customer service rep. My point is, everyone's got a story. Everyone wants to talk. Don't just treat people as strangers. Engage with everyone.
At the end of the day, if you look at it from my perspective, we're not strangers. We're just somebody you haven't met yet.
I agree with that.
And it's important that when we have the opportunity to meet people and stuff, it really can be a dynamic experience when you have the opportunity to meet somebody and to learn about what is going on in their lives that you might be totally different and stuff. And although I think it's a gift that we all can utilize if we choose to.
Another small tool I talk about in the book. That's the point. Is there's so many of these small tools that I'm sure people have thought about. The idea is to bring them together, package them, and give people the toolbox to say, "Today's the day I'm going to start to make some changes."
I just want to point out to everybody that have you noticed that a couple of things that I've said, he said, are in the book, and maybe that's why I've got a show called Positive Talk Radio. I'm just saying. So.
I think you're hitting a bullseye today. Like it's a very symbiotic content and channel.
I agree, and I love the book, and we'll put it. We might put it on our website, and because we need to create a preferred reading section, Miss Holly, that we can have books go there that we believe in and that really speak to life. Because you're right. What are you going to say on your tombstone? Go ahead, Holly.
Not only that, but our awesome, amazing virtual assistant is uploading one of the digital books that one of your previous guests sent you to your Patreon site.
And that would be Mr. Matt Shea with his brand new book, and she's uploading it to there. So it's great because Scott, don't you agree that we can all work together for the betterment of everybody? But it's going to take everybody to do that.
And it's small things, right? If everyone can make a small change, a small reflection, take away one thing, that's how we make the world a better place, right? It's chipping away one day at a time.
Absolutely. And that's why, listening to Holly is fun. It's fun to listen to you, Holly, because you have a smile that comes through energetically in your voice. It really is. And it makes people feel good. I'm trying to get her to come on more.
Not obvious at all. You're totally pulling it off. I'm curious though. We have, a little bit of time left. I think I would love to know one of the things that helped you leap to make that big leap, to put all that time and energy and investment into starting your own philosophy brand.
So I think it's an evolution. I don't think there was one day where I had that aha moment. Today's the day. I think I've long been a super high energy, positive person, very positive person. There's no doubt I had setbacks along the way. I often get questions of were there negative influences or things that they gave you aha moments, and I had some of those, and I talk about them in the book. I talk about 4 big aha moments in my life, and the first one I think back to when I was 10 years old. I was working on a house project with my dad. My dad was super handy, super, we were redoing my brother's room or something, hanging paneling, running lights, so on and so forth. And he cut his finger, and I looked up, and he's holding his finger. It's bleeding. And, we decide he has to go to the hospital. So he goes to the hospital to get it stitched. I go to bed. I'm 10 years old, middle of the night. My mom comes in and wakes me. I remember exactly what she looked like at the moment. It's Dad had a heart attack in the hospital.
Oh, no.
10 years old, and my dad did survive, but at 10 years old, to be walking in the middle of the night to say Dad had a heart attack. And then a few weeks later, he went to Houston. We live in New Jersey. He went to Houston for a bypass surgery. This is 1984. So there weren't as many surgeons doing bypass surgery. And I remember precisely as probably one of the most poignant moments of my life, a couple of days after the surgery. Now, remember, 1984, there's no text, there's no mobile phone, there's no constant communication. I hadn't talked to my parents in a couple of days, and I remember being at my grandparents' house and hearing the phone ring, and then my grandmother answers it. She calls me in, and I take the little brown rotary phone, and I hear, Scott, it's Dad. And I just remember bawling, the emotions that came out that had been pent up for a couple of weeks at 10 years old. And that was a big moment in terms of life is too short. I don't think I fully appreciated, but kind of appreciated how close I came to losing my dad. And that was the first big kind of aha moment for me. I fast forward a while, and there were certainly smaller aha moments along the way, but on 9/11, I walked by the World Trade Center 20 minutes before that first plane crashed. I was a few blocks north and heard the first plane crash. I watched the second plane come down the Hudson River and bank on its side and crash into and explode in the World Trade Center. I watched the towers fall. I couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 blocks north of there. And that changed my life. That changed my perspective. That changed I had always said, life's too short, live in the moment, minutes matter. On September 10th, I was maniacally focused on my career. I was a banker on Wall Street, and that's really what I cared about. On September, it probably took a week or two, call it September 20th, my wife and I decided it was time to start thinking about a family. And just over a year later, we had our first daughter. So major aha moment and epiphany for me. And then just briefly, both of my parents, unfortunately, have passed, and they passed away at fairly young ages. And those were big moments for me that I talk about in the book that have changed my perspective and really gave me that go out and live life to the max, because you really don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
You were there in 9/11. I think there's another book coming.
It was, I often say that was the defining moment of my generation. I'm fairly convinced of that. I don't think anything changed me, my life, and my generation more than what happened that day. And watching it unfold live, real time. I lived right across the Hudson River in Hoboken, probably 2 miles away. And for the next 2 weeks, you could just watch the smoke, watch the fire at 7 World Trade Center. Remember, 7 World Trade Center didn't fall until I think a day or two later. Watch people come home that day covered in soot, realizing some people didn't come home that day. The smell that just lingered for weeks, the quiet, eerie, empty streets downtown. It was really a defining moment.
It was really tough. It was also my birthday, but that was a story for another time. But it's
Poor Kevin.
I tell you, I get no respect. I get no respect at all. That's Rodney Dangerfield, by the way. But it's Scott, it's great to have you here, and I believe honestly that our lives are built on a group of experiences that are all designed to get us where we need to go, and you are not ending up because you got lots more to do, but your life experiences have brought you to this moment so that you can do what you're doing, which is then going to lead to the next thing that you're going to do, and it's going to be as equally as important. And that doesn't mean that you are a special dude. You are, but everybody has the same opportunities. We can all do that.
Agreed.
And I really hope people will take this episode. Holly said in the chat that awesome dude, that we're doing a good job, Scott, and Holly, you're with me all the time, and I really appreciate having you on the air.
Oh, much love.
Yeah, so you should be on the air more, but that's I'm not letting it go. I'm just not. But Scott, I would like you to give you the opportunity. We've just got a couple of minutes left in the show, but I would love for you to have the opportunity to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know, the ones that are listening now, traveling the highways and byways of Seattle, or the ones that will listen to the podcast on positivetalkradio.net later, and or the YouTube channel or whatever. But I would love for you to just anything that you'd like to say.
Minutes matter. Go out and embrace life. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I do some math in the book that I'm not going to go through right now. But when you're born, you plus or minus, you're going to live 80 years, just using a rough life expectancy. You have 42 million minutes. Most of us listening to this are probably in the second half of life, or at least at the halfway point. So now you're down to like 20 million minutes. You're going to sleep about a third of those. Now you're down to about 14 million minutes. When you start shaving it back, the minutes are ticking by, and I say that not as a warning, but more as a call to action of embrace today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tonight's your night. As you're listening to this, go home and do something different. Go home and do something special. You had mentioned, Kevin, I thought it was sort of a great. We don't have enough time to go there, as I know we're wrapping up. But one of the other principles in the book is take a chance and get it done today. So every one of us has something yearning inside of us that we want to do, but those nasty, scary words of risk and fear make us sort of pause, and then we start coming up with a yeah, but kind of excuses. Today's the day to stop that. Today's I'll leave you with this sort of final thought related to that as a takeaway principle. I talk about a book that was written by a palliative care nurse in Australia. She's a hospice care nurse, and she wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she reflects on people in their final days of life. And the key takeaway, the most important takeaway of the whole book and the whole study is the biggest regret we have when we're dying is the regret of what we didn't do. It's not the regret of the mistake. It's not the regret of something that I did something really dumb. I did something I wish I didn't do. That's not what anyone reflects on later on in life. At the end, it's I always wanted to, but never did. So take this today on February 15th as a call to action to say, I'm not going to be that person to have regrets. I'm going to go out and maximize the minutes, because this guy told me I only have so many minutes left, and I believe him. I'm going to smile more. I'm going to engage more with people. I'm going to take some chances. I'm going to find humor. I'm going to embrace the little things in life. I'm going to be passionate and energized and excited and live my best life. And then when I wake up the next day, I'm going to do it all again.
Perfect. Scott, thank you so much. We've been talking to Scott White. Go to his book, or get his book, The Life is Too Short Guy, and it's LITSG, which Holly's going to tell us what the acronym.
Litzig. Hashtag Litzig.
Litzig. Perfect. And Holly, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Do I get to steal your closing line?
You can, I guess.
I don't have to. I can say, everyone have an amazing night, and we can't wait to be with you again live. But I can also do your closing line for you.
Oh, okay. It's a good closing line, I think.
But you can do it too.
No, you do it, and then I'll do it.
Okay. Be kind to each other, because each other's all we got.
And you know that they came from, believe it or not, they came from an old war movie, and it was about these the troops that when they were going into battle, they were no longer, they had no religion anymore, they had no color, they were all working together in the same unit, because when this war starts, he said, each other's all we got. And so from that standpoint, from the way that we're living our lives, each other's all we have. Take care of each other, be kind to one another, and laugh and smile and do what Scott White does, because life is too short. He's the too short, life is too short guy. And Scott, thank you so much again for being here.
It's my pleasure. Have a wonderful evening.
We will. And by the way, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Friday. Well done.